know if I'm losing my mind, but I'm pretty sure that's the actor Nick Cage.
From Moonstruck?
Moonstruck, no, from Face Off. Wait.
Hello and welcome to Open Dialogue. Noel T Manning II here, and we appreciate your time always. We're so thankful to have a composer who has hundreds of credits to his name. And Mark Isham is someone I've been able to spend some time with over the past few years, talking about numerous projects. And today he's going to be sharing some interesting and introspective thoughts on the unbearable weight of massive talent, the new Nick Cage film. Mark's going to tell us his story on how he got involved in this project and some of the things that maybe were a little bit different. His voice in film can be felt in so many different ways. You look at Mark's body of work and everything from Judas and the Black Messiah to Crash to The River Runs Through It to Nell. I mean, there are so many. He's collaborated with folks like Tom Cruise and Brian De Palma, Robert Altman, and even Mick Jagger and Sting. Mark Isham is one of those that will take on so many different projects because they find ways to speak to him. And sometimes he doesn't even realize what they're saying until he gets into it. So let's dive in to this interview. Mark Isham talking about the unbearable weight of massive talent.
What's the worry here, Nick? You've lost some of your talent as an actor?
No.
Hello and welcome to Meet Me at the Movies Open Dialogue, where we spend time talking to those who make it happen. Mark Isham, so good to see you again. I'm glad to have you back. I love following your work, and I never know where you're going to show up, but I keep following you. So it is so good to have you back on our show today.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
So Nicolas Cage, I have loved Nicolas Cage since I was in college, and have followed him as well. And I know you've been connected to a previous Nick Cage work, but I tell you, it seems like now this kind of rage on Cage is just it's just crazy out there. And this film, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, has him having a little bit of fun with himself as well. And I got a chance to listen to your work on this project, and it sounds like you had a little bit of fun playing around with this as well. So talk about this particular this project and some things that you had a chance to enjoy doing on this one.
Well, this is a very unique film, a very special film. And, you know, when you first hear about it, somebody gives you a one or two liner about it, you go, I don't know if this would really work. But boy, it works. It works gangbusters. It is so fun. It is so funny. And it's just a great ride. I mean, I think Hollywood insiders are going to be in stitches, but everyone will be laughing. You know, it's just so well written, very, very clever. And so the question about the music became, you know, what do you do? Because there's some serious things. This is a buddy movie. It's an action movie. There's a little romance. There's all sorts of things happening in this thing. You know, there's some sad, I mean, lots of things. So how does the music help you just keep a half a tongue in your cheek or a wink in your eye or something, you know, because that's what you need for the whole film. So I decided to sort of go almost spaghetti Western on it, you know, just pick a very traditional sort of style with a big John Barry type theme, you know, that you could revisit in a number of different ways. You know, some flamenco guitar, because it all takes place, or most of it takes place in Mallorca. You know, some of the great tremolo electric guitars for Tip My Hat to Morricone and
Yeah.
You know, just have fun with it, and yet take every emotion that presents itself seriously, like it's a real scoring job. And consequently, the humor, I think, is really accentuated. The warmth, the human side of it is kept very much alive, and I think everyone cares and everyone has a great time.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And as you mentioned, when you look at the synopsis of this film, you wonder, how can this work? And I don't think it could work for everyone. I don't think that you could just put any actor in this and it would work. But with Nicolas Cage at the centerpiece of it, it does. And your score to me becomes very much a supporting character as it has in so many other films that you've done throughout your career. Looking at your body of work, 125 plus credits and even more that we don't even know about that we've seen out there. And I think your score really honors this film. And you mentioned it's almost a multiple hybrid film when you look at the different scene selections. There are times that you find yourself highly emotional from a standpoint of wow, but then other times you just, especially for the Hollywood insiders, as you mentioned, you do find yourself going, ooh, I know what they were doing there. I know. Yeah. So when you were, how did you get involved in this project? When was it that you were brought in, and did you immediately say, oh yeah, I want to be a part of that? Or did you say, let me think about this one?
Well, it has a sort of a typical Hollywood story here. The word came out that this film was being made, and people asked, was send in your reel. And when I got that call, I just said, I have no idea. I mean, it's a 2-line description. So I was more of the thing, I don't even know if this film would work. So I put some stuff together and sent it in, and I didn't get hired. They hired someone else. And I guess it didn't go so well. And they called back and said, no, I think we need you. And so I said, well, this time before I even opened my mouth, let me look at this thing. Let me just see how it's working, why it's working, if it works, so that I know if I can even contribute to this. And of course, it worked great. And before I called him back, I said, I have to have a pitch here. So my pitch was, let's what I described. Let's do a traditional score. Let's get a big theme. Let's not be afraid to play homage to some of the great composers that have come before me that have sort of iconic sort of things that they do, and as this film does, pays homage to so many great things in the history of filmmaking. We will just carry forth likewise in the film, and I think we'll keep everybody laughing, smiling, and feeling great about it. And they love the pitch. My first pass was successful, and there we are. I made it to the end.
Yes, you did. Were there things that initially you thought you may want to try, but you chose not to?
My first thing was that I might go a little more European on it. Okay. That might help with the Mallorcan. Like I was listening to George de la Rue and some of the fine European composers, and I found that tended to make it a little too serious.
Yeah.
That Lalo Schifrin, for instance, worked great. Ennio worked great. And then when, of course, the cars start banging and people start shooting, then we dip into a little more modern feel. We get the big sampled percussion, and you cannot do that when you have a modern film that has any action in it. You've got to you've got to be modern about it. But the theme is an homage to John Barry, and the 8-bar statement that you'll come whistling out of the theater with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you have been involved in so many films and projects throughout your career, and you probably, I know you have approached each of them differently for what they are, and you probably have different opportunities as it relates to. Sometimes you'll just be pitched an idea. Other times you'll get a chance to see some of the scenes and see some of the setups and be involved from beginning to end.
Well, I think it was very helpful to see pretty much the entire picture, almost from day one. I mean, there are disadvantages to being hired at the end of a project, quite frankly, because that deadline is looming, right. And it's much closer than you want it to be. But on the other hand, there's also been a lot of knowledge gained by the filmmakers about what they need, what they don't need, what doesn't work, and what does work. And in that case, that was of great benefit to me. Tom's very smart guy, and he's done a lot of homework on music. And he knew where 80% of the time really where this stuff had to be, and I filled in the gaps with my concept, and it seemed to play out really, really well.
And how long did you work on this project?
Well, the initial writing phase wasn't more than 7 or 8 weeks,
Wow.
for a lot of music. And then there was some cleanup at the end. We went into overtime, as they say.
Yeah.
This film itself is quite unique.
Yes.
And I've certainly never really done anything like this. I don't have a tremendous number of comedies in my resume. I find them difficult because it's not about writing funny music. It's about finding that juxtaposition of a piece of music that might be considered very serious in this application, but when put in this application, it becomes hysterically funny.
Yeah.
And so that's more the best comedy scores are done by guys who can really make that conceptual decision and stick to it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's when it's really, really effective.
Do you prefer to write to character or to write to story or to scene? Do you have a preference?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if I have a real preference. I tend to write, different films call out for different things. I mean, this did call out for the big theme. But the big theme is set up in a number of ways. It's set up in a tiny little acoustic guitar and cello. It's set up in this 50s rock and roll with the tremolo guitars and the wailing Morricone-ish soprano. It's set up in a beautiful, large orchestral romantic way. So I had to know that theme was strong enough to go through all those permutations. So in a way, I guess I'm writing to character and to the buddy story. I mean, to me, I think it's what made the emotional connection to me was these two guys whose lives are irrevocably changed because they meet each other.
Stop stalling and answer the question. What is your third favorite movie of all time?
Paddington 2.
What?
Yeah, I think there are some films that we see that are almost unclassifiable because they are so different. And this is one of those that, sure, you can classify elements of the different genres that play a role within this film, but it is almost unclassifiable. And that is a rarity, and it's even more of a rarity for something like that to work on screen. And it did so in this film.
Yeah, it was just great to nail that concept and then see it play out over the whole storytelling, and to get the support from Tom that just go with it. And yeah.
Paddington 2 is incredible.
Well, I appreciate you spending time with us today talking about this new film, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And you can find that in theaters now, and really appreciate what you brought to this film as well. Any final thoughts or comments you want to make sure that you share with our audience that they need or would like to know about this work?
A film like this, I wasn't sure that I would ever have a scene in it where I would be able to say, that's a real fine piece of composition. Only certain films allow you to have that moment, and usually comedies aren't those films. But it turned out that there is a scene in this movie that I'm just especially proud of, and I would put up, just say, this is just a really, really well-written piece of music. And that's that scene where Javi, I won't give a complete spoiler alert, but the gentleman that Nicolas Cage meets and becomes friends with is named Javi, and he has a moment of epiphany where he has to change and do something that he's never done before and stand up and do it right. And that scene, I'm very, very proud of that music. That's a good spot.
So when we look for that particular song, what's the song called for that scene? Do you have a title for that one?
I think it's something about Javi Stands Up or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking. Javi Stands, I think, is the name of that one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
On the album,
love,
that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the title, You Must Kill Nicolas Cage. And that just kind of shares exactly what it is for that particular spot. Mark, it is so good to see you again, and always a joy to talk to you about your work, and blessings to you, man. And thank you so much for your time today right here on Meet Me in the Movies Open Dialogue.
It was my pleasure to be here. Always fun to talk to you.
Thanks, Mark. Take care, buddy.
All right. Take care, man. Bye.
Thanks.
You're sending me on like a wild goose chase! I'm sorry, but you can't quit acting. You can't! That's none of your business. Whether you like it or not, you have a gift. And that gift brings light and joy to an increasingly dark and broken world. And to turn your back on that gift is to turn your back on the entire human race.
The human race? I'm afraid so.